Okay, so it's launch day. You've got everything laid out and ready. You want to tie it all up and then launch. This is the process to do that. The first part is the parachute, actually, because it's in the middle between the balloon and the payload. Here's my balloon here, here's my payload here, here's my parachute. So to prepare the parachute, you're going to actually tie rope onto both ends. You're going to want to cut your rope in pieces. You're going to want to tie, you know, maybe 6 feet or so to the top of the parachute. And so you can use a nice bowline for that on the top of the parachute, and then the other end is standing free, and that will attach to the balloon, which will pull the parachute upwards. Okay. At the bottom of the parachute, you're going to see all these little strings, and they're going to be a terrible mess. But you're going to want to sort them out, make sure they're all the same length, and then tie them together like this. Once you've tied them together like this so that they don't move around, then you're going to tie a little loop through to your last part of your string, and then again 10-ish feet or whatever of rope will then attach to your payload. And again, I usually put another loop there, and then as I showed you in another video, you can go through that loop twice and then wrap it around your payload, and that's what's actually attached to your payload. So the bottom of the parachute is attached to the payload, the top of the parachute is attached to the balloon. So once you've got the balloon prepped like that, then, once you've got the parachute prepped like that, with a little bit of string on the top, a little bit of string on the bottom, then you're going to do all your electronics in your kit. Make sure they're all working. Once they're working, your kit is sealed and attached to the bottom of the parachute, then you start filling your balloon. Now, when you're filling your balloon, you're going to want a short loop of rope like this, ready to go. And you can do this in any way you want to. A little bowline will work there as well, but a little short loop of rope that's going to attach the balloon to the rope that's on the top of the parachute. So have that ready to go. Then you start filling. Your filler tube is attached to your helium tank over there somewhere. Then you've got your nozzle, and that's going to go into the tube of the balloon, like this. Now this is going to take a number of people. So you're going to have one person whose job it is to hold that up against that sort of grommet of electrical tape that we've made and don't let go. There's going to be a person whose job it is to hold the tank, make sure it doesn't fall over, and then one person to actually turn the valve on the tank. So you're going to open that up, helium is going to stream into this, it's going to fill up, and it's going to start to rise, and the person who's holding it is going to have to hold on to it and make sure it doesn't rise away. Okay, so that's going to be that person's job. Once it's full, and that's going to be either a complete N88 tank, or that's going to be, it looks, you know, about 6 to 8 feet across, or it feels like it's got enough lifting pressure to lift your payload. That's when you're done and you're going to want to start tying off. Now, when you're doing this, so the person is holding on to the balloon and making sure it doesn't leave, okay, you're going to put a couple of these zip ties on, and you could put these on the tube loosely before you start filling if you wanted to. So a couple of zip ties here, and again, this is easier with more than one person. So one person's holding tight, one person's putting these zip ties on. And once you've decided that it is definitely full and you're ready to go, then what you're going to do is you're going to pull these zip ties tight, okay, to seal it off. 1, 2, okay. 2 zip ties. Now be careful because they got sharp ends. You don't want to poke the balloon. It's usually best to wear gloves when you're doing this, but most people won't, and that's probably okay. So to these 2 zip ties, you're still holding on here. This is full of helium, and then you're going to ridiculously carefully get your scissors and clip those ends. Now you don't have to clip the ends. You can seal it without it. That gives you more sharp edges, but it's just be careful. Now, some other people will use elastic bands around here, which will work probably just as well. But this is then sealed, first part of the sealing. Once that's done, then you can grab here and then pull this out. So now you're done with helium. This is full of helium. You're feeling that heft to make sure that it is gonna be enough to lift your 1 kilogram bag. Payload thing. Next thing you're going to do, and again, somebody's always holding this. Another person is going to put a zip tie or 2 on the bottom of this tube. Looks like this. Okay, zip tie on the bottom of the tube. And again, you can use 1 or 2. 2 means that you're sure that it's going to be sealed. Now that doesn't do anything except close off the bottom of the bag. Okay, now you've got closed in two places. Why the heck would you do that? Well, this is now where that loop of string comes in. You're going to feed that loop of string over and then fold this up. Okay, and again, this is full of helium. It's pulling. Somebody's holding on to it. There's another person or perhaps two doing this sealing process. So you're going to seal at the bottom. You've already sealed at the top, and then you're going to put the loop of string on, fold it over. That's the little loop of string. Okay, and yet more zip ties. So maybe another 1 or 2 zip ties here. The folding is going to make sure that it's sealed. The zip ties are going to make sure that it's sealed. You're not going to lose any helium, and you're going to make sure your payload doesn't float away. So you've got your zip ties there, and one more to hold that together. 1 or 2. Let's put 2 on here to make this look nice. Okay. Keep going out of frame. Sorry about that. And then again, carefully, ridiculously carefully, you're going to take and cut your zip ties. Now we've got zip ties that are tied, the balloon at the top. It's folded around this loop of string, and it's going up to this one. And this is now your payload, and this is, or your attachment to your balloon. Nice little string, right? Just that loop, and that is pulling on the balloon. And you can hold on to it like this now. The balloon will lift, and you can feel how much height there is. Last step now, once this is all tied together like that, then you're going to take your duct tape, or you could use electrical tape as well, and you're going to tie this together. Tape this all up like this. And then you know that nothing is going to happen to your balloon on its way up. So nicely taped. That also helps to protect from the zip ties a little bit, so you could put some tape there as well. And then that's going to pull your payload up. Last thing now, so the balloon is full, okay, but it's only attached to this little rope, right? The balloon is full. Then you call Transport Canada and you say, we're ready to launch. And Transport Canada says, that's fine, launch, or Transport Canada says, there's air traffic in your area, wait for my go. And then Transport Canada will say, launch. And then once you get the go-ahead from Transport Canada, then you take the string that's on the top of your parachute, you attach it to the loop that was on the balloon. Again, another one of these Bolins. Okay. Right, like that. And then that's it. Balloon tied to the rope that's on the top of the parachute. Parachute. Top of the parachute. Bottom of the parachute. Parachute lanyards. Then the rope that is eventually attached to your payload box. And then you release, and it goes up in the air.